Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 133 of Speaking from the Heart. And I'm asking you to dig a little bit deeper than you usually would in today's episode because I want you to harness not only the existing knowledge, skills, and abilities that you have, but to think about what it means to have those skills in this ever-changing world so that you can find that existing niche or new niche that you're about ready to enter into. I know that this world is ever-changing, and we've even talked about the fact that in this ever-changing world, we have to be adaptive. We have to learn new ways in which we can process and identify different types of mediums or even different types of ideas or concepts that we normally wouldn't have explored before. These new niches, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence, better known as AI, has really helped with the technological advancements over the last year and a half or 2 years, depending on how you look at it. But even with all these advances, the age-old question of, is my job going to exist, is on many Americans, let alone the whole world's minds, especially as we continue to evolve the technology. I want you to feel comfortable knowing that technology is something that we shouldn't be scared about if we know how to harness it and be able to use it with the things that we're able to grow and adapt in. So I want to explore not just the ways in which technology can help you, but maybe to rethink the ways in which you're thinking about this subject contrary to what the media and other individuals will tell you. Because as always, we always have to read in the news about the fact that the technology that we're developing is replacing jobs. And I know that it can be very scary, especially if we are in one of those industries that have that problem coming up, especially in the next 10, 20, 30 years. But if you start planning today, and you start looking at how you can take your skill set into something that is a lot more comfortable to deal with, maybe even using what you have learned to help advance that technology, it can go such a long way. I have even heard in my industry, the coaching industry as a whole, about how we can easily be replaced. But I don't think anything will ever change the fact that our ability to interact with individuals on a one-on-one, group, or even overall level of interactivity on the physical sense will be able to be replaced by AI. We have to use the powers that we already have mastered inside of ourselves. So before you go ahead and think that you have to learn black magic or white magic like you would in a fantasy video game, especially one of my favorites, Final Fantasy, hold on to your hats and even those pointed little hats to hear what I have to say about this subject. The skills that we have already learned, the things in which we've been able to learn not only in terms of the soft skills, whether that's communicating, maybe even learning how to write, maybe even learning how to grow in a variety of different techniques and skills, such as learning another language, can make such a vast difference in this world, especially with the things that we still have to develop. But what if I told you that the hard skills, the things in which you might have gotten certifications, degrees, even other skills that you've learned, can make such a big difference in transferring it from the industry that you're in into something completely new? We have to think outside the box a bit, and it takes a lot out of someone, especially if you're stuck in the mindset of always thinking that you're going to be stuck in that job that you've always been in forever, to try to change your perspective. Look at me, a state civil servant, still trying to think myself outside the box, knowing that I have the capability and the abilities to do just the same. But even with all those things said, being able to take that comfort level and apply it to something else takes great skill. It means mastering something that you normally don't think about before, and you have to learn how to take that skill set to use it into a whole other realm of possibility. I think it's about an exercise of not only listing out all the skills that you have, whether they are with communicating, whether they are doing process improvement, whether it is developing business strategy, maybe it is welding, maybe it is carpentry, maybe it is electricity, depending on what you have going on. It can have all kinds of implications if you're able to transfer those skills into something that is more packageable. And what I mean by packageable, I actually mean repurposing them into something that is a lot more attractive for people to see. I usually do this in my resume services that I offer through my business, Your Speaking Voice LLC, in which I take a client's resume and revamp it into showing what the true possibilities are, not only in the skills that they've learned in some of the jobs that might be considered entry level, but actually digging deep into what they actually had in terms of challenges. What are some of the things that they've actually have accomplished, while at the same time be able to showcase what they have been truly able to achieve. Now, I know that you could already say that AI can do all those things, but what if I told you that AI is not smart enough quite yet to identify what that panel is that you're sending that resume to? Or even dealing with the variety of different personalities, skill sets that you probably didn't put into AI, let alone learning about the overall company, process, and procedures in order to understand and get in front of an interview panel that will help you to be successful. Are you going to go back to AI for that? Or are you going to work with someone that has been through that experience time and time again in the industry that they are choosing? I think that we need to be heralds of our own mastery, the witchcraft that I've talked about earlier, which, although I chuckle at it, I think that we are all wise sages and mages, for that matter, to be able to learn and harness the unbelievable power of potential that we have inside of ourselves. I've always talked about it on this podcast. But what if I would just say to you that if finding your niche means looking at what you already have and transferring it into something that is a lot more seeable and believable, that you'll be able to survive any sort of change that occurs. Let me explain what I mean by that. AI in itself is in its infancy. It still has a lot of bugs and kinks to be worked out, and it doesn't have the world's repository quite at its fingertips. It's not always thinking and evolving in the ways in which we're able to learn and grow from each other. So there always will have to be a human interaction or human component in order to harness the imagination and creativity that the human race has been able to enjoy for hundreds, let alone thousands of years. But yet, if we're able to take the niches and the skills and be able to constantly evolve, to keep pushing ourselves forward into that new dimension that we normally don't push ourselves into, we are able to brainstorm and even capitulate a variety of different new ideas, new careers, new avenues in which we normally don't even consider. Inventions such as the steamboat, the light bulb, all the variety of different machines, the personal computer, the microchip, all those different types of inventions, whether physical or even service-oriented, actually came from brainstorming. Literally, inventions were made from concepts that were around us and in nature and challenging the status quo, which, let's face it, AI has not quite achieved yet. I think that we have to learn and understand that AI right now is just a tool. That tool can be used for good and evil. And I think that we have to understand, along with all those considerations, that we can dictate how much output it will provide, but at the same time, how much input that we give. It's no secret. I use AI in my business, not only to help streamline the variety of different ideas that I have for workshops, presentations, speaking engagements, the whole variety of different realms of thought and discovery. But I think it means taking a little bit more than what I have already inputted into AI, but examining what the gap is. I have also been following a lot of different types of coaches. We've had them on the show, but at the same time, I've followed other groups that haven't been on the show. And I've learned so much about what their thought process is when it comes to hiring somebody else. What it actually means to engage with a speaker that isn't just fluff, but is able to understand and learn and grow from the variety of different things that that speaker possesses. Knowledge, skills, and abilities. Sound familiar? They have learned not just through all those different avenues, but they also have been able to gain experience. And that is what makes AI and me and you all interconnected. We are all evolving. If we are able to harness the power of AI and push it forward into new changes, new abilities, new opportunities that we normally wouldn't consider, of course we're going to be successful. Of course we're going to be able to challenge ourselves. But the key to it, in order to be able to find that niche, means that we have to challenge not just this ever-changing world, but to challenge ourselves. In other words, the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, the experiences are only as good as our mindset is in challenging everything that we ever want to achieve. It's a sad thought for me to consider because of how many years I've spent dwelling on the thought that I need to always look at the past. I needed to look at what happened instead of looking forward, taking the experiences that I've learned, all the mistakes, all the failures, all the missed opportunities, all the missed dreams, and be able to learn what it means to unlock my true potential. As of the time of this recording, I was at a recent vendor fair in which people were walking up to me after almost a year in business, saying that they've been listening to the podcast, they've really enjoyed the conversations and the guests that I've had with a variety of different people. I've had all the different conversations, all the different ideas, all the interactions I've had with guests. But something stood out to me about all these interactions that I've realized that what I am doing is challenging this niche, which I think all of us have this ability to do. Finding our niche doesn't mean that we have to paint ourselves into a corner. It means that we have a speciality. It means that people, when they think of us, we want to go to them for something that we really love doing. Just as much as I love doing public speaking, that is my niche. But it doesn't mean it paints me in a corner because of all the other things that I offer. Business coaching, career coaching, even life coaching. But even with all those services and all those opportunities for people to interact with me, I also know that I have to harness the power of change to always be paying attention to what's not only around me, but also master the technological advances and the knowledge that I have deep inside of myself to pave my path forward, not just with my mind, but also my heart, to make the connections with the variety of different people, places, and things that I will need to have in order to find that niche that is ever-changing. This means that I have to have a growth set. It means that I have to keep reading. I have to keep listening to other podcasts. I have to keep looking at what has happened, react to changes, learn from my mistakes. If I know that I'm not doing a good job, why am I not doing a good job? Seeking feedback from a coach, which I'm even looking at too. But even with all those things said, you have to be able to understand that the skills that you've learned as of yesterday might not be as good as today, and definitely won't be as good as in the future. Even if you wanted to say that, yes, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, I'm a carpenter, I don't need to learn all new skills because all the things that I've learned from many years ago are the same. I would call that hogwash because things are always evolving in terms of the taste, attitudes, and even perceptions of customers, clients, and all the like that are looking for that vast new opportunity that is in this ever-changing world. Finding your niche doesn't necessarily mean, as I mentioned, painting yourself in a corner, but actually learning a specialty that allows you to be looked at, not just as a role model, but an industry leader. For all my folks out there that are thinking that this idea, this concept only applies to professional development, you're so very wrong. If it wasn't for the moms and the dads, and even the children for that matter, that have that entrepreneurial spirit, we wouldn't have shows such as Shark Tank that allow us to pitch new ideas, new concepts, new opportunities for us to keep learning, to keep growing for that matter. Because finding our niche doesn't necessarily lie within ourselves, but it also means exploring and mastering the ways in which we can harness that with other people. So let's take what we've learned today and apply it in this overall grand scheme of things. If you're able to find that niche, if you're able to learn what your skills are, if you're able to take what you've learned in the past and you put it in the present, but you also are looking ahead in the future, if you're able to take all the opinions, opportunities, all the threats that might come near you, and you're enhancing your strengths and minimizing your weaknesses, that will allow you to not only just embrace AI, not only address the technological advancements that are occurring, but you're going to find even more comfort, new skill sets, new powers, and oh yeah, more of the opportunity to cast your magic in ways in which you're evolving in this ever-changing world. If there's anything I've ever learned in the last 37 years of my life, it's this. If we paint ourselves in a corner, we're never going to grow. But if we're able to paint the road in which we're able to walk on, and maybe even pave the road that's ahead of us, even if we're able to pave over the potholes that we see along the way, of course we're going to be able to use the things that are available to us. We're going to have not only all of the artificial intelligence that we can have at our fingertips, but we're going to be able to learn things that we never imagined before. But it doesn't mean that we need to be replaced. We just need to evolve. So stop thinking that you can't do anything right. Stop thinking that your job is going to end. And stop thinking, of all thinking, that you stink. Because you don't. If anything, you're going to explore new things, new synapses, new opportunities to rewire your brain, which not only allows you to connect it to all areas of your life, personal, professional, business, or whatever, but it'll allow you to become just as smart as AI, and even smarter, if that. Don't let anything hold you back from evolving that all-important niche in this ever-changing world, because as I always mentioned, you have a place in it. And I want you by my side the next time that I need some white magic, or even black magic for that matter, to be cast. You have that niche. I don't. And that's why I'm going to be looking for you. Thanks for listening to episode number 133 of Speaking from the Heart. And I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.